So now I want to go over mental sets and functional fixedness. And really what that is, the tendency to only see solutions that have worked in the past. So if we have a product, a service, or an experience, what tends to happen is that we always follow our past events. We follow what worked in the past, or we follow what we think is the most efficient way of doing things, or even looking at a product and seeing what it's for, and only focusing on what it can do as a product as is. But the reality is that many times we have many different options. But we're stuck seeing it in this way because of the way that our brains work. Once we use something for something else, our brain automatically creates these neural connections and associations to what it's for. For example, if we're using a candle, we might just look at it and say, well, it's a candle. You use it just to make, to light it up and do these things. But if you needed to use it for something else, what other things could you do with it? Because there's different parts to it. Obviously, there's a string there. There's the wax, which is separate. So sometimes we do not see the full picture of everything that a product, a service, or experience can kind of give us. And there used to be a famous show called MacGyver before, where he used to take like all these different things and break them down and use them for all these different creative things that they needed to use it for. And reality is that this can be challenging for us. And the way it impacts us is that if we have a product, we have a service, we have an experience, we only think of one way or specific ways that we can use that to either move us forward or to deal with a new situation, or even become more efficient, more productive, or whatever it may be. Because again, we're falling back on our past experience. So I'll give you a specific example too of how this mental set sometimes can get us stuck. You might have somebody that you know that might have a problem. They might come up to you and ask you about their problem. You're probably pretty good. You deal with it right away. You give them some solutions. But if it was you, on the other hand, that had the problem, you might not be able to come up with quick solutions like that because of your functional fixedness and the way that you're emotionally attached to the situation or to the product or whatever it may be. So really being able to let this go, being able to rewire your brain to think of different ways that you can utilize some of the things that you're exposed to in your life and some of the experiences that you have will make you more creative and more innovative. So there's many different ways of doing this. And what we're going to do in this course is that we're going to be giving you some of the tools to be able to do that, to be able to explore some of those things, whether it's using some of the brainstorming techniques we're going to go over, design things that we're going to go over. But for the most part, a simple way of doing this is breaking it down into its parts. So even if you're trying to fix a problem, listing out all the properties to the problem, or even if it's a product, listing all the properties to the product, can help you. Even the invention of the vacuum, same thing happened, but somebody saw something else and broke it down to pieces and said, hey, I might be able to put all these different pieces together and make a vacuum out of it. There's many different things that have come out of just people being able to break things down in a list. In fact, there was a study and it showed that when people had a problem, they were given a problem, that if they were told to write every single details of that problem down, so then they can break it down into different chunks and then assess it from that perspective, or they were giving a product and they were told to come up with new creative things that they could do with the product. For one group, they were told just to look at it as what it is and then come up with a solution. And the other group, they were told to make a detailed list of either the problem or the product and everything that's involved within that product, all the details to that product. And what they found was that when they wrote down a list, they actually were able to double their creativity, innovation, and different ways of looking at solving the problem. So again, it sounds very easy, and it is if you do it that way. And it's really just conditioning your brain to be open to change. Because part of functional fixedness and mental sets is that your brain gets used to this because out of short, not necessarily laziness, but really it's just trying to become efficient. So the more you can allow your brain to think outside of the box in situations, the easier it will be for you to create change whenever you need to. The other part you can do is heuristics is what it's called. It's where you break down a problem from going backwards. So you have where you want to get to, and then you kind of break it down into going backwards into where you're at now. So this is the final goal and kind of summarizing. So if you're here, these are different ways that I can do this, and then break it down smaller and smaller until you get to where you are now. But again, just the simple role of writing a list and breaking that, into different properties is simple enough, and it's easy enough, and has proven to be very effective in doing this. Again, you're just trying to break the mold, and once you can step outside of the box, it becomes easier and easier to step outside of the box where you need to. Hope that helps. Thank you.